Alright guys, let's do a quick loft update, loft check. We were out here feeding the birds this morning, and I want to also scrape up a few boxes because they are getting a little backed up. And before we get super freezing temperatures and I can no longer scrape, this is the time to do it. Before I do that though guys, I want to show a few maybe younger guys starting off in the sport, some of the things that I look for while raising youngsters around this time. And what I look for is good droppings around the nest bowl. It's going to be a little unpleasant to the eye, and if you guys don't like to see droppings, well, just change the channel, I guess. But for the most part, I just want to demonstrate what good droppings for me are. In this case here, this is okay. It's not ideal. Some of the droppings are still a little loose. I'm not sure what's going on there. We will clean some of that up. Not an issue. I don't see an issue in this box necessarily. Another box here, droppings look good, well rounded all the way around. Again, no real issues. Some of those droppings will get squished because the parents are obviously going to walk around the bowls and they're going to squish the droppings around. But what I look for is uniformity. Easy, guys, easy. What I look for is uniformity in the droppings. This box is a perfect example of what I check for. Every single dropping is a nice round ball. It's tight. It's the right color. Some of it might be a little on the red side because they've been consuming a lot of grit, and that's okay. But basically what you want is nice tight balls, as close to that as possible. You are going to have issues with stress and things of that nature, weather changes, maybe diet change if they decided to eat more peas that day than everything else. But for the most part, this is what you guys want to see right here. Just clean, nice, clean round droppings, nothing too crazy. You don't want splats anywhere. That's pretty good there. I try to keep the bowls away from the wall as much as possible. In this case, I did not, and you can see some of the droppings are collecting against the wall instead of dropping behind. But that's enough on droppings, guys. I'm going to go ahead and clean everything up, and we're going to talk about some of the mated pairs for the year, and talk about basically what's going on in the loft currently. So we'll see you here in a bit. All right, guys, we are back. Boxes have been cleaned. I did lock the birds out, and I gave them some fresh grit, and you can see they are going crazy for the grit. I've actually been here for the last 10 minutes waiting for them to settle down because of just the chaos of it. And I give them fresh grit every single day, guys, and they need it now more than any other time. Make sure you are giving it to them. You don't have to get crazy like some of these guys I see on YouTube mixing 10, 12 different grits together. That's insanity. Don't go down that rabbit hole, guys. Get a good Pigeon grit. Get an all-in-one if you can. It's literally all in one. You don't have to add anything else. If you want to add something, give them a natural stone. I use like I think it's called Belgian, Jesus Christ. I think it's called Belgian Pigeon grit. It's a basic mix, a blend of different stones, seashells, things of that nature. And I do add that to a bag of Giovati and I mix it all together. That's my basic grit mix. I will occasionally give them some pick stone, a multivitamin, pink mineral, things of that nature, but for the most part, that's it. Don't get too crazy about the grit. Just make sure they always have it and give it to them fresh. Instead of just filling that pot and walking away, you're better off giving a cup a day and letting them consume as much as they need. And again, that's why some of the droppings may look a different color or consistency. Actually, the consistency shouldn't change as much, but the color will definitely change. It'll go from a greenish tint to maybe a reddish tint depending how much grit they consume. With that being said, guys, droppings aren't a tell-all of pigeon health, but it will say a lot. And if you are keen to watch and to observe, you may see things ahead of time. Let me give you a good example. As I was cleaning, I took a closer look at some of these boxes, and there are 3 boxes that I do not like. I don't like Jason's box, I don't like Chris's box, and I don't like a new pair that I have down there. The droppings were very, very wet. I mean, they were slushy. It sounded like I was scraping slush as I was scraping the bowls up. I don't like that. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that the birds are sick or anything like that. It could be the way that the parents are feeding the youngsters. I know there are birds that will feed a lot more water or give a lot more water, and that would create a loose, wet dropping. But again, even though that may not mean anything now, if I find at the end of the season that these 3 boxes, there aren't a single youngster left over, this may be the reason why. So take note, have a keen eye, and observe everything that's going on in your loft. Your loft will tell you everything you need We're not veterinarians, guys. We don't have samples. I don't have a microscope to look at droppings, and even if I did, I would not know what to look for anyway. But these are some of the things that I like to look for. I like to look for a nice clean loft for the most part, or a clean box, and the droppings nice and tight. Things will change, weather changes, feed changes the droppings, so it's not a tell-all of pigeon health, but just be very aware of what's going on in your loft. Those 3 boxes I'm going to take good notation on. And at the end of the season, if I find that those youngsters didn't perform well, or there aren't any left, this may be the reason why. And those, unfortunately, those parents are going to be on the chopping block. So we'll see at the end of the season, guys. Again, it's just something to be aware of. Be observant, and it could go a long way in terms of building a good stock loft and keeping only the best. And again, sometimes it starts now and not just in the racing season. So keep a good, keen eye on that stuff. And that's pretty much it, guys. Hopefully it helps some of the new guys, from some of the experienced guys. You know, sorry, I know the video is kind of might be a boring one, but again, I'm hoping maybe it helps somebody out that's starting off and trying to learn some of these things. It's definitely not something I looked at in the past, and even if I did notice it, it wasn't something I took note of. I may have just noticed, wow, this ball's really shitty this time around, but didn't really pay attention. Those youngsters make it to the end of the season, you know, things of that nature. So again, it could go a long way, guys. You know, it could go a long way. But nonetheless, guys, we'll see you on the next one. I am going to try to make a few breeding videos for you, talking about the mated pairs for the upcoming season. But we'll cover that in the next video.